What did you have to live without that others took for granted? When I was 10, my father wrapped a blindfold around my eyes and told me I would never see another human face again because women's eyes were too pure to witness the world's filth. My parents came from a community that believed in protecting women, which meant they thought women weren't strong enough to handle the real world. So once girls hit puberty, they wore permanent blindfolds and could only remove them when completely alone in locked rooms. That way, they couldn't be corrupted by the sinful world. I had 3 older sisters already living in darkness, feeling their way along the walls with practiced hands while my brothers walked freely beside them. Mom had been blindfolded for 30 years, and Dad would describe things to her in this patronizing voice like she was a child. The sunset is particularly orange today, dear. You're so blessed not to see how polluted it's become. I'd never seen her eyes, and growing up I was told I never would. You're lucky you're allowed to see anything, my dad snapped at me when I asked once. Enjoy it while you can. After I got my first period, Dad held my protection ceremony. He held up the black blindfold like it was something sacred and said, "Today you become a woman, which means your pure eyes must be shielded from corruption." My younger brother watched excitedly while my older sisters sat in their darkness, hands folded perfectly in their laps. Dad wrapped the blindfold tight enough to hurt and said, "You'll thank me when you're older and still clean." That first day, I crashed into furniture constantly while my brothers laughed. Living blindfolded was a special kind of hell. We ate alone in dark locked rooms, the only place we could remove our blindfolds. Dad would escort us there 3 times a day, and I'd spend those precious minutes staring at my hands, squinting through the darkness to take in whatever I could make out. The rest of my life was complete darkness. My sisters taught me to count steps, memorize furniture placement, and identify people by their breathing patterns. I never left the house. The doors were set with combination locks there was no way to solve without eyesight. School was sitting in the kitchen while Dad droned on about math I couldn't see, history I had to imagine, and science I could never observe. My brothers would move things just to trip us up, and when we fell, Dad would scold us for not being careful enough. "Your sisters managed just fine," he'd say when I walked into a relocated chair. What I missed the most was faces. It was terrifying how quickly I forgot them. I'd spend hours trying to remember if Charlotte had freckles or if Luna's nose was straight or crooked. I never asked my mother for advice because she never complained, just moved through her darkness with resigned efficiency, cooking by touch and smell while Dad watched TV in the next room. He'd describe what was happening on screen like he was doing her a favor. "The hero just saved the girl. You're so lucky you don't have to see how immodestly she's dressed." One day I heard my sister Luna screaming from the bathroom. I traced the wall and got to her as quickly as I could. She'd fallen on a step stool our brother moved and hit her head on the tub, and there was so much blood I could smell it. Dad stood in the doorway describing what he saw while Mom and my other sisters felt around helplessly trying to find the wound. "It's on her forehead, maybe the left side," he said casually, not moving to help. "About 2 inches long." Luna was sobbing and disoriented while Charlotte and I fumbled around her eyes and nose, searching for an injury we couldn't see. I realized she could die while Dad just stood there narrating. I couldn't take it a second longer. I ripped off my blindfold and saw the deep gash above her eyebrow, blood covering half her face. "Here!" I shouted, grabbing towels and pressing them directly on the wound. Dad screamed that I was destroying my purity, but I was already guiding Mom's hands to help me apply pressure. Dad dragged me to my room and locked me in for 3 days. When he finally opened the door, his voice was calm in a way that terrified me. "Since you can't control your need to see," he said, "I'm going to solve the problem permanently." He explained that he'd looked up how to mix an acid he could pour in my eyes to blind me forever, making me pure without the temptation of removing a blindfold. "Your sisters will hold you down if necessary, but I think you'll submit willingly once you understand this is for your own good. I'll be back at dawn." That night, I lay awake listening to him explaining to Mom how my permanent blindness would be a blessing for the whole family while she sobbed and begged him not to go through with it. I couldn't stop crying, and each tear I felt in my eye reminded me that soon they'd be ruined forever. Then the door to my room opened, and before I could rush to put on my blindfold, I saw my mother, and she was unblindfolded too, for the first time in my entire life. She told me we were escaping tonight. Together, we woke up my sisters and spent the entire night crouched at the front door trying combinations until finally we got the locks open. We went straight to the police, and my father was immediately arrested. That was years ago. He's still in prison, and I'm an ophthalmologist helping people see.